there's a reason why we haven't seen a lot of competition for Diamond, and that's because if you don't have the big publishers, it's not really worth going through somebody else.
Right.
This goes out to the challengers. Comics and conversation, y'all. What? Keep the conversation moving along. Keep reading comics, keep your local store strong. If it's hard, then it's a job for the challengers. What? Comics and conversation, y'all.
From Challengers Comics and Conversation in Chicago, this is Contest of Challengers, a comics industry business podcast with Patrick Brower and W. Dale Bush.
I'm going to have to composite the two pieces to this episode already just to get it for patrons. Because otherwise it's not fair. We've already been recording. You can't have your traditional start recording yawn again.
I think it's this room.
No, but you yawned in there.
Not right away, though.
Okay.
It was a few minutes.
We already recorded a little bit that what we thought was going to be the start of this episode, but then we realized it's a little boring, so we'll put it at the end of the episode.
That's the thing. I if people are willing to sit through it, I'd love to hear if it was boring or not. Basically, it's us talking about a design change we're going to do while looking at a potential new layout. And we don't really go to a lot of trouble of
describing
exactly what we're talking about doing, mostly because it's Patrick's idea and then he's sort of pitching it to me, which I'm honestly glad for. You had talked about sending it to me earlier in the day, and I wasn't able to view the file. And I'm glad, because I think if I would have looked at it cold, I would have been more judgmental of it, a little bit more dismissive. Hearing your reasoning, I think, helped me a lot to kind of understand the big changes that you were making and why you were making
and like
them.
I said, on paper it's not exciting, but when you visualize it in your head, it's like, oh, that could be something.
Yeah, or again, just understanding, it was important to me to kind of hear, why do you want to do that? And I think you had good reasons, and I think we came up with something I think we're both happy with.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, it is us largely working through our process, and it's half visual, and you're not going to get that half.
But I wanted the listening experience to be that of us deciding these things in real time.
And me coming to a cold.
And yeah, so they get a chance to see how this process actually works.
Sure, you can hear exactly how skeptical I am in the first few minutes.
Yeah, and it's if I make a joke okay, I guess I'll edit that silence out.
Huh?
I like that we said, we're not going to talk about this to start with because it's too boring. So let's describe how we're not going to talk about it.
No, I mean,
the irony of this whole situation is that we're talking about sidekicks, and at the start of the pandemic, we had just done a major design overhaul to that space, and we were both really happy with it.
Late Feb, early March, something like that.
And now here it is, 8 months later, and we're like, we have to change it.
Well,
and there's still so many people who never even had a chance to see the new layout because they haven't been in because of the pandemic.
I mean, the one of the big reasons why we have to do it is because it absorbed all of the River North stuff, and not even all of the River North stuff yet. And that's a thing that was not part of the calculation when we did our first change.
Right.
If we didn't have to absorb the River North stuff, that room would have plenty of space. It'd be fine. But between adding in a whole other store's younger reader section and then the billion new younger reader books that have come out over the last 8 months, it is time to move things around and make some changes to provide a better experience. Especially, so when were you thinking of doing this? Did you?
Well, that's the thing. When we agree on what we're doing, some of that requires buying new shelving.
Yeah, I'm okay with what we came up with.
Okay.
I might want to do a little bit of maybe Tuesday, Wednesday, counting and measuring and stuff, just to...
Sure, but one of the things I wanted us to completely agree on was the exact calyx we'd be using.
Sure.
2x4, 3x3.
I think they're 3x3s.
Okay.
I think they're the right height.
Yeah, I mean, you can basically look right now and judge.
Yeah. No, 3x3 is good because, the height is not significantly higher than the current bookshelves, and kids could access everything on those shelves. There's not a level where they're I can't get that.
The one drawback to the calyx shelves is that they look good, but they're not meant to absorb impact or punishment, and the number of coffee rings or damage you find to the tops of the red metal shelves is a lot. A lot of parents just put whatever they're carrying down on top of that.
Sure.
And I don't know that the calyx shelves can absorb as much of that over the same time period.
Well, I mean, there's definitely solutions to that. One, it doesn't bother me that much because there will always be, weird damage. And you reach a point where it's like, do you just cover that up or do you replace it? And replacing the calyxes, way easier.
Yeah.
Super easy to replace.
Sure.
Not that expensive. But other than that, I mean, you could put essentially like mats and stuff on top of the bookshelves where it's just like, if you feel like people are causing too much damage, well, here's a thing that they can damage that's even easier to replace.
Here's a thought that I hadn't thunk until now.
Uh-huh.
If you look at the height of the Calyx shelves, they're a solid like 13 inches tall, which fine for your average graphic novel.
Right.
But the kids' books are half that size.
Not all of them.
There's going to be, that's true. There's going to be a lot of open air, which I think is probably a plus.
I think it's a benefit. Like,
Yeah.
I think to your initial feeling of like, I want it to feel more open, I think that only works in its favor.
Yeah. I just hope it doesn't make the shelves look anemic.
I don't think it will. I think it'll be fine.
If you use these shelves that we're looking at as comparison, these are stacked poorly and have too many things on them.
Yeah. But I mean, if you think of the 4x4 that's currently in Sidekicks,
Yeah.
I think that looks fine.
Sure, but that's also where we put a lot of the oversized books on purpose.
But not all of them. Top Shelf is all those like the My First Board books and things like that. And I think those look fine. They sell fine.
Yeah, that's true.
So no, I don't think visually I don't think it's a problem.
One of the things I don't like about that one is how it's more of a hodgepodge, and it's not like, oh, it's great we have all the younger reader stuff there,
Right.
the younger reader stuff, but then it's like, oh, I don't know, this is a Neil Gaiman shelf. I don't know, this is a box set shelf.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things that's going to happen in the Sidekick section, and I love that we're still talking about this
I know!
because it
I
just
know.
means that this has to probably go second now to make any sense, is that it's not just about putting new fixtures in or like moving around where things are. It's a top to bottom re-envisioning. Like the things that are on those shelves in the center versus the ones that are on the wall, that are on bookshelves, that are on Calyx, all of it has to be rethought. So I don't think, like, even the stuff in the windows that isn't moving, different things will have to go on there.
Right.
We will be reconsidering what goes there.
Sure.
So a lot of like the prep work is going to be basically pulling everything off of every wall, putting it someplace where we can get at it, and then taking a look like with everything with bare walls, bare shelves, and going, okay, what do we put up? And then that, determines what goes where and how much space everything gets.
I guess we may also have to preemptively ask Margie and Keith and Drew and Ashley if they're available for another Calyx building party.
More Calyxes.
Speaking of Margie Springham, the patron version of this will go out on Saturday.
Yeah.
And if the entire Springham family is actually listening to it on that first night, it is actually Margie's birthday. So happy birthday, Margie!
Happy birthday, Margie!
And if you're listening to this later, happy belated birthday.
Yeah, that one too.
All of those things put together. That's how much of a happy birthday it should be.
Wow. It's a pretty happy birthday.
It should be a giant stuffed cupcake with a light up candle on top. Just can't be off the top of my head, no reason.
Yeah, just I can see it in my mind. Like that was a really good description.
Yeah, do you see like with a orange frosting? And
Yeah.
big like bobble eyes.
And little scribbles and dots and stuff on
Yeah,
its
what
face.
color do you think the candle is?
I mean, like a blue candle with white stripes?
Oh, I see.
I mean, that's the one that,
see it.
when you said cupcake, that's what, in my brain, that's on like blue candle. Blue candle, white stripes.
Perfect.
Yep. Did I say cupcake? I meant marshmallow. What is it?
It's a cupcake.
Is it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay.
I mean, is that icing or hair?
I don't know. I don't know what you're seeing.
I always assumed a cupcake that you saw in your head. I thought you were thinking of a cupcake. The only thing that slows down the potential of doing this right away is if we do the laminate flooring.
Oh, it's just like a regular cake. Yeah, I think it's just supposed to be like a regular, not a cupcake or a marshmallow, but just like a regular cake.
Oh, huh. Okay. Well, speaking of talking about things people can't see, don't look at its butt.
It's got a seam and like a Velcro thing.
It lights up.
Do you take its skin off?
Yeah, it lights up. That's where the batteries go.
Oh, it lights up.
Yeah, you squeeze the candle, like the whole thing lights up.
Oh, neat. Why did I never know that?
Because it's never been turned on. Like, literally, the battery pack is turned off.
Oh, that sucks. Go on.
Super exciting audio presentation.
I don't care.
That's fine. So here's the thing that it's been happening a lot more the last couple of months. But this is a week where I just thought, this is almost untenable. The amount of extra cardboard waste that is now being generated by our store, technically,
So many boxes.
because of the way distribution channels have changed so dramatically, we get so many boxes per week now, and it is easy. We flatten everything. Kent does it. I do it. I don't know if Kent realized this week that I did more than half of it for him ahead of time.
You'll have to ask.
I think that it's more than a dumpster full.
It's a
Now,
lot for sure.
when you consider, so our normal diamond boxes, which we're getting less of, yes. The boxes we get from Lunar that have the DC books are bigger. Like the interior boxes are the same, but the exterior boxes are bigger because they build in a cushion of really thick, durable bubble wrap that goes around both the inner boxes. So the exterior boxes have to be significantly bigger than the diamond exterior boxes, which go up right up to the wall. So there's more of those. We're ordering now from Penguin Random House regularly and Ingram regularly. Those are more boxes. And those were products that would have gotten shipped and packed with our diamond orders, packed better and tighter, so there'd be a lot less. Ingram and Penguin Random House and previously Baker and Taylor tend to have a lot more empty space in their boxes. Like they use bigger boxes for smaller amounts of product. Baker and Taylor used to shrink wrap everything to flats and then just fill the box with packing material. And now it's still just a lot of bubble wrap.
Yeah.
And I don't think that bubble wrap is recyclable for the city of Chicago. Obviously, what is recyclable for Chicago is what's really recyclable. What Chicago is really recycling is a whole different story because it's almost nothing from what we've heard. But anyway, so we still don't put bubble wrap in with the recycling. And now that our comic supply and gaming distributor doesn't deliver anymore, they have to ship everything. And those are boxes, and all those boxes have boxes inside boxes and other boxes inside boxes.
Yeah, like we got the new Venom Pool Marvel Legends wave, and that's cases of figures. So the cases then get thrown away.
Yeah.
And those cases are inside a much larger box that gets thrown away.
Yeah.
When before it would have just been, here are the 3 cases.
Yeah.
You know,
And handed
here's
to
your
us.
figures.
And each one of those boxes has to have packing material in it as well. And it is an absurd amount of waste for us ordering the same, if not less, amount of product.
Yeah, maybe.
And there's got to be, and obviously that increases shipping costs. It changes a lot of it, but just the sheer time wasted breaking that material down.
Yeah.
Reduce, reuse, recycle.
Right.
That's time spent literally doing anything better in the store.
Sure.
Because it's not for the store; it's for the environment, and it takes a tremendous amount of time to take up less space. And in the interim, just storing those boxes until
For sure.
and whatever. If anybody ever is moving or needs boxes, let us know. We'll happily give you our boxes.
Yeah.
You have to get them, and the diamond boxes are glued, not taped, so they don't.
And you can only come get them on a Wednesday.
Yeah, that's pretty much
Just
the
FYI.
day when everything is there.
We are not storing them for you indefinitely. Some
No.
people seem to think that's the case.
No. So that is something that I've really been trying to reconcile. How can we... What's a better way? Like, none of this is us packing this. None of this is us... And we reuse boxes whenever we can.
I mean, there's literally nothing you can do about it. You would need there to be less distributors to order from, and that's not going to happen. I mean, unless you're someone who orders from UCS and Lunar.
I mean...
Is that a segue? Did
I
just do a segue?
had a different segue, but go ahead.
So DC Comics way back in the early 2020s,
A lifetime ago.
a lifetime ago, was a exclusive through Diamond, and then they decided that was too limiting to the market. The market needed choice, so they added 2 different distributors, Lunar and UCS.
2 brand new distributors.
And then they decided that Diamond was not for them, so then it was just Lunar and UCS. And now, 6 months later, they've decided that UCS isn't for them, so it's just Lunar.
I'm sorry. I need to break in for a moment.
5 months?
No. I think there's parts of the store you haven't heard yet.
Maybe.
UCS said DC is not for us.
Wow,
Yeah,
really?
UCS. So basically, UCS and Lunar each had a 6-month initial contract with
which
Diamond.
is one of the things we'd heard before was that the contract that DC offered both companies was very, very brief.
Yeah.
Like, and I think DC's tried to portray this as more of like a vetting process,
Yeah.
and they've decided that Lunar, but is that not the case?
That is not the case. I've 2 different reports I read today
Mm-hmm.
where it was UCS, who, by the way, is still going to be an active distributor within the comic book industry.
Uh-huh.
They're just choosing to not.
Distribute DC.
Yeah,
product?
it's just too much of a headache.
I can't even imagine who they distribute then, because like if DC's a headache, I can't imagine Marvel would be any better.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a
And if
question
it's
of
not Marvel, then why bother?
who or what. It could be Eagle Moss or Toys or something.
Why bother?
An excellent question.
I mean,
One
not my accusation to you, but
Yeah.
just a thing of like, there's a reason why we haven't seen a lot of competition for Diamond, and that's because if you don't have the big publishers, it's not really worth going through somebody else.
Right. I mean, do you remember? Oh, I forgot their name. Obviously, I don't. That distributor that was in Skokie we used to
Yeah, I know
Trek
what
out
you mean.
to?
God, what were they called?
Lunar.
Yeah, I don't think so.
They weren't.
But it was like a real short one-word thing.
Yeah, it definitely was.
Yeah.
Not like Sphinx, but
Uh,
that is our old PR company.
Yeah.
I mean, not we
No.
didn't own it. It was the one we used.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, if UCS is going with somebody else and DC was too much of a headache, I mean, I don't even know who's the middle ground of that.
I mean,
that's
you
worth
gotta
doing.
understand and realize.
I don't have to.
I did that for you. I did that for you.
I do not have to understand.
And that's why I said realize. I'm like, wait, stop. Give him the room to edit it. Yeah, you gotta understand.
I don't have to understand anything.
We have no idea what it was like on their end.
Oh, I'm sure it was a nightmare.
But we know what it was like on our end, which has been kind of a nightmare.
Well,
So imagine, like, all the problems and questions retailers have, they go to UCS, and UCS is like, we don't know, we
Sure.
can't help you.
So, I mean, looking at it from the outside and seeing what we've seen based on reports from other retailers and through the grapevine sort of stuff, and just basically understanding how distribution works, it feels like what kind of happened was that Lunar and UCS thought they were going to be like additional distributors,
Yeah.
and then they very quickly found out, no, you are the exclusive distributors. And so what was previously like, oh, you'll handle some accounts that'll slowly ramp up, became you are now distributing to half of the United States overnight. Like, get ready for that in the next week.
And now this is happening again to Luna, where they're
Well,
doubling again.
But this is the thing. Like, I think Lunar and UCS both looked at that in two different ways. Lunar seemed to say, okay, how do we scale this up? Like, they brought on people
Yeah.
in specific positions.
They've just rented a new warehouse.
Yeah, to figure out how to do this and do it at a scale and a professionalism that is the bare minimum the market demands. I think Midtown and UCS looked at it and went, this seems like a gigantic headache. Because in general, there's not much money in distribution. Like, you need to be massive for the tiny margins of distribution to make any sense financially.
For the pennies that you get per single issue.
Yeah, because I can't imagine that the deal that like Lunar and UCS is being offered is any better than what Diamond had, and Diamond
Sure.
did not have a great deal. Like, Diamond had said kind of several times that like the big premier publishers like your Marvel and DC, like they make it up in volume, and even then, like, that's not a big part of their business. Like, that's not the money in that is not exactly what you think it is, because of how dependent Diamond is on retaining that business from that publisher.
That would be like having a comic book store, but only selling single issue comics and graphic novels. Not,
Collectibles,
Yeah.
back issues, high
Yeah.
margin stuff. Yeah, I mean, that'd be stupid. Who would do that?
Could you?
Yeah.
Thank you.
I didn't see where it went.
I realized I was not taking notes for this episode, even though I have notes scribbled on the
make
board.
sure you write down plush cake.
Plush cake.
Plush cake.
Sometimes when things happen in the comic book industry, people on Twitter immediately tag us and say, "What do you think?" And I never respond, but my answer is always, "Wait till the podcast. We'll talk about it on our podcast." So not only has
This is the 1 hour a week where I am okay answering those questions.
sure.
Outside of that, no thanks.
Not only is Lunar now the only distributor for DC Comics in the continental United States,
Yes.
there are other distributors for other parts of the world. Diamond UK, par exemple.
But not every part of the world.
Right.
I think there's been some... I haven't really been following it too much, but I know in the initial days, like, the Canadian distribution solution was kind of not great. Bordering on completely untenable, but I don't know if that changed. I hope it has. I assume it has.
But another edict from DC is minimums and
Yeah.
volumes.
Yeah, DC announced that with the change to Lunar's exclusivity, they would also be enforcing weekly minimums. I think it's $125 retail each week for anything
Yes,
to be shipped out.
$125 retail per week, $500 retail a month.
Yeah, and I mean, the weekly thing is really the point of it, which is basically Lunar's not going to be packing and shipping, 10 comic books to go out. If you don't hit $125 retail, which, I mean, realistically is like 35 books maybe, it's not a lot.
No, it really isn't.
I mean, it's like close to like 30 books, depending on how many $10 books come out in a week. That is not a lot of product. But what it's really cracking down on are buying clubs.
In eBay stores.
Yeah,
And
people who would just order, 10 copies of Batman, and that's it for the week. And it's like, that's, especially as Lunar's going to have to ramp up to every single comic shop in the U.S. that carries DC product, they can't be taking the time to pack up 5 or 10 or 15 comic books. That's ridiculous.
the way I understand it, and I could be wrong, I frequently am, is that it is $125 per week, but if you don't hit that, what that means is they hold your books until next week,
Right.
and then combine it together.
Yeah, until you hit 125, they don't ship anything out.
Right, but if you don't hit 500 for the month, that's when you go, and this is calculated over a 3-month average. So it isn't like, oh, you immediately fell below $500, you're out.
Yeah, if you
It's
have
an average.
a bad week or a bad month, but they are looking for. I mean, they're basically trying to understand, like, is this somebody who is never going to order enough product for it to be viable for us to have them as an account, or did they just have like a weird slowdown for a month?
Right. And because of our frequently narrow and self-centered point of views, we never look at these things from the scope of who it affects because it doesn't affect us.
No.
We're fine. But I have heard from some stores that they're like, well, I guess we're not carrying DC books now. Or I've also heard the opposite, which is not opposite, but it's a thing that I was surprised by. The number of people that said, yeah, I just get my books from this other store in town, so it doesn't matter to me. Like, oh, you're sub-distributing,
Yeah,
which is
against the terms of sale.
yeah, it's like, it's one thing to do it, it's another thing to admit it.
Like casually mention it, like you're not breaking any rules.
Yeah. We've been asked in the past by other stores, like, hey, can we just get our books from you? And our answer is always no.
No.
It's against the terms of service. And also, it's a headache. And also, we have enough people we have to chase down.
Yeah.
We literally have to chase down people who have bought and paid for their product and just never picked it up.
From months ago.
I went through...
I saw those emails. Pretty funny.
See, how did you get those? Because I didn't see those. I made sure I copied all of them to go to Challengers at,
That's how I saw them.
but they didn't come to my inbox.
They came to mine.
Weird.
Yeah.
The only thing I was going to call you and say, hey, should we do this? But I felt like I called you enough today, which I wouldn't have had to if you'd shown up. But anyway.
That's true. Even if I showed up, it was only going to be one time and for not that long.
Is there a... No, we've covered all of this stuff. Is there a way... There's two things, two completely separate things, and they're not even the same subject matter, but I'll bring them up now.
Okay.
Is there any verbiage anywhere on the Shopify account that...
Like how long we store products for?
Yes.
No.
Okay.
There can
And
be.
I don't know how we would put that in or whatever.
Yeah, I mean, in general, like, I don't...
Like, there's stuff that some would be bought in June.
Right.
And then even one from April. There was an April one today that I found. It's like, you paid for this back in April. You asked for
And you've
local
almost,
pickup.
You've almost definitely been contacted multiple times by this point. Because
Yeah.
you get an initial thing saying, hey, your order's ready for pickup. And I'm sure I did a round of
Yeah,
these
what I did, yeah.
2 or 3 months ago when I started to see stuff piling up.
Obviously, you saw my quick template. It was just cut and paste
I
the
did, yeah. I
date.
mean, that's all you need to do. It's
and-
just, hey, you've got a thing here. Please come pick it up.
It's because I wanted to rearrange some stuff. Like I put the couple of Come Home Indios that are on hold into the Blue Hold box
Okay.
just to get them off the ground.
Sure.
And yeah, that and I knew it. There was a couple of pop vinyl regulars in, and while I had that Tony Stark pop out on in the pile of things I'm doing, like
They wanted it?
Is that for sale? I'm like, actually, that's already been sold.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, someone's already paid for that. I would love to sell it to you.
I mean,
Again.
even if we put language saying, like, at a certain point it's going to go back out, I'd still always feel bad about that.
Yeah.
like, I think you'd need to refund people, but at that point, like, do I want to try selling this again, or do I just want to...
Yeah, it's really hard to try to
keep
resell
the
a thing
money.
that's been on hold for 3 months.
Yeah, do I just want to keep the money and then just tuck this thing in the back for however long until I feel like, it's been a year, I'm just going to put this out, I'm going to gamble this person's never going to come back in for that random volume of Snot Girl.
Yeah, I wonder
gonna roll
what
the dice on that.
expectations are from people for actually how long things will be on hold, because we tell anybody when we call and we say, hey, you've got a book that came in, we'll hold it for a week.
Mm-hmm.
And the number of times people say, yeah, I got a call last week, and you're like, no, you got a call a month ago.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. There's so many people who just have no conception of time when it comes to these things. Where, again, you'll say you have a week, and they'll think, okay, I should do that this week. And then it just becomes filed away in their brain. So in the next 2 weeks, they're like, oh, yeah, I was going to do that this week. And it's like, no, you've already missed out. It's too late.
The other question I had, which is unrelated to that, is there a way to, or is it worth it to, let's say in the header graphic on the website, that where it has, like, you know, the challengers and the hours, if it has a line, a little big line that says, yes, we are open for in-store business. I got 2 separate calls today asking if we were open or if we were curbside only. And we've been reopened for in-store shopping twice as long as I was going to say we were shut down, but that sounds like we were shut down since the city mandated business shut down from May to June.
Sure. I mean, we could. I don't think it would be valuable because I think most people who are even getting our number are not going to our website to get it.
Specifically, somebody said...
It's just a Google search.
I looked on your website, but and they had a difficult time. They finally of trying to convey what they were asking. They finally just said, "Look, are you open?" Yeah, sure, open till 5. You can come in. We're open for in-store shopping. But I had multiple calls today for that. I'm like, man,
Sure. Yeah, it's easy.
I understand, but I mean, I don't.
I don't think it would solve the problem, but
Yeah.
it's easy to do.
The answering message says we're open for in-store shopping. I feel like if you go to any of our social media, we're talking like if you look at it, things are in the store and we have our hours posted and whatnot.
It's just a confusing time, and I think everyone wants a little bit of reassurance before they make a trip out. I don't blame them.
I understand. I mean, I don't know. I guess I would probably do the same in the same situation, but I don't know.
I mean, depending on where you're coming from and how long it takes to get there, the last thing you want to do is get there and find out, oh, you cannot come in. So, I mean, better to just make a quick phone call and say, hey, can I come in?
Yeah, but that, I mean, that
But
also...
it's irritating to us. I get it.
That goes along with, know the hours of the store you're going to.
Yeah.
Once again, it's like, oh, man, I hate having to kick people out, but A, I got here at like 9:45.
I've
B,
been in that situation.
B, you're just...
If I've already been there for 9 hours, no, it's time for you to go.
Yeah,
I want to go home.
I mean, it wasn't 9 hours. It was only...
I've been there some days
Yeah.
where it's been like 9 or 10 hours, and that's for a store that's open for 6. And it's like, I don't care. Like, you have to go home. I have to go home.
This is falling into that category. We got an email, and I kind of love this. We got an email from a former club member this week, and it was a club member who has been a club member on 2 different occasions, and on both occasions, we had to kick them out of club because they became delinquent, meaning their books piled up, they never came back in.
They didn't respond to emails or phone calls.
Or they did, but too late, and they always had excuses.
Yeah.
Fine. If it happens one time, and you say, but can I come back to the club? Fine, we'll let you back in.
Yeah. Things happen, life gets away from you. I mean, I wish it hadn't happened, but people make mistakes.
But you do it a second time, you're done.
Yeah, now you're, it's pathological. Like, we cannot ever get you to care enough to actually, like, not cost us money.
For example, the people that only come in to get their books, when we call them to say, hey, it's been, 5, 6, 7, 8 weeks, where have you been? We've started dropping those people.
Yeah.
We're not your mom. We're not going to keep telling you to come in. That's it. You're done wasting our time.
Yeah.
But anyway, this person was dropped last fall 2019.
I think so.
And which means that they had books on hold for probably since July of 2019.
It was like 2 or 3 months worth of stuff.
Okay.
Looking at the list of what was still in their
Sure.
box when we had to drop them. And we keep a list. I want people to know that. Like,
yes. Oh, yes.
When we drop people, we keep a list, and the list has the date on it as well as everything that was on hold. Some of that is so that if someone comes in and says, "Hey, I meant to come in and I still want to get that stuff," it's like, okay, cool. Here's a list of what we put back out. So if you pick all that stuff up, yeah, you can come back into the subscription service. You haven't cost us anything, and on top of that, you won't have missed anything for the stories that you're following. But, I mean, the other reason is so that we have something we can look back on and go, this is how much that person burned us for.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times that somebody would come in and we're like, wait, I recognize that name. Was that a club member? And then it's like, why did they leave? Did we kick them out or did they leave? Did they move? How did it? And it's like, so we have the ability to go look up how that works. So this former double club member emailed a very nice, like, hey, I've been out of the game for a while. Like, I think I got overwhelmed last time, but I'm ready to come back. It's real good. I'm going to keep it simple. Here's what I want. And we honestly talked to each other saying, do they not remember that we kicked them out? Or are they just they think we don't remember?
Yeah, neither one would have surprised me. Like, on the one hand, I can see them absolutely trying to play it off like, oh, that was all in the past. We're buds. But I can also see them, like, genuinely forgetting that they burned us or not realizing we would care.
Yeah.
Like, sure, they didn't come back, and it hurt them as much as it hurt us because they didn't get to read their stories anymore. But, now it's like, no. You cost us money.
Yeah, and
a big chunk of money.
I never had a problem with this person. They were fine. They were always pleasant in the store. They had a cute little dog. But the more they burned us, it just became like, oh, man, whatever. So anyway, they sent this email like, hey, I'm ready to come back. Here's what I want. Is that cool? And this is 100% the entirety of the email I sent back.
Verbatim.
And I'm very proud of this. Nah, man, we're good. But thanks for thinking of us.
Because it turns out you can say that. When someone's like, I want to join your subscription service, you can go, no thanks.
Oh, rejoin our subscription service. But yeah.
Just in general.
Yeah.
I mean, on any level. You can just be like,
and,
no.
And then I did have another sentence where I was talking about, like, hey, what you asked for, there's actually two things. And then I deleted it because it's like, no, I got the point across.
Yeah.
And they responded. They're like, all right, I'll just go to somebody else. Thanks.
Good luck.
Yeah. But just the ability of, nah.
Yeah, in 13 years, that has not happened a lot, where we've specifically told someone, no, we will not let you rejoin the subscription service. You've burned us too many times.
I can name other people that would happen to if they come back.
Sure.
There's somebody who had a penchant of ordering Star Wars statues.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, yeah. They're 100% out. Oh, my God, yeah.
Yep.
2 times they've been like, no, I have to cancel those orders. And it's like, well, we can't cancel them, so now we're screwed.
If you ever look on the top of the bookshelves and you see...
They want to buy a Poe Dameron statue.
Things like a Poe Dameron statue or a Storm statue. You realize those are things we didn't order for the store.
Well, the Storm statue was a specific...
Well, that was an error.
That was a different error.
But it was still a club member error.
It was.
Yeah. Yeah.
It was.
The number of people
Maybe they'll sell this Christmas. I honestly don't know.
I think so.
We've come close a couple times on that one.
Right, and I was going to say that whenever someone's like, how much is that Storm statue? My answer is always $300. Make me an offer.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's deal.
We have a number in our head of how low we'll go.
I'm willing to negotiate on the Storm statue and the Storm statue alone. But there's other stuff where, like, I remember thinking that the Batman...
family?
Yeah, the Batman family with, like, the cutie pie.
Which, to
family
be fair,
members.
That was me. I ordered that for me.
But you were, like, you put it out. You're like, I think someone's going to want this. I think it's a cool design. And I'm like, I think it's a cool design, but no one's ever going to buy it. And someone did, so you were right. And that same person...
almost bought a Storm statue.
but they bought a bat signal.
Yeah.
So it's like...
Yeah, and the same answer. That I bought that for the store thinking, this could be fun. We could project this, but our store is too bright at all times.
Yeah, and the bulb is not that bright.
No.
It's not designed for, like, really casting a huge light on anything. It's more just like, oh, it'll light up, so if you look at it, it'll appear illuminated.
There's a thing I've wanted to do since the early 2000s, from back when we were at Old Place, because I've seen other businesses do it.
Sure.
Where you have a spotlight projector that goes through your door, your window, and beams your logo onto the sidewalk in front of your store.
Sure.
And I think that looks great when you see it. I've never... I was trying to do it myself. Like, I was trying to build my own spotlight and build my own insert, reversed image to...
Yeah.
But I could never do that. And B, again, it's too bright around us. The store is too bright inside.
You could only do it at night when you were closed, basically.
Yeah, and I mean, that's what we would turn it on and off kind of thing. But I would not be opposed to something like that, but I don't know where it would go, and it would get in the way. It would look clunky hanging in the store.
Depending on where it is.
Yeah, that's true. But I like visual aesthetic.
Sure. No, it's a neat idea.
I don't know that we'll ever get that done.
I mean, you could always revisit it in 2021 when we get everything else done. There's a list. It can go on it.
You mean like when we get all the pull box invites sent out to everybody?
Did you see that we got an update on that?
I did.
Yeah. So I mean, they're working on a solution.
Yeah.
But I mean, like even the technician had said to me, like, this has been going on too long. Like we should have had a solution before now. And it's like, well, the thing is, like the pull box invite problem, like it's the pandemic. Like you've got a Diamond Comic Suite team that is overworked and understaffed, and they're also having to respond to all the DC stuff that's going on. So yeah,
is that still going on?
Well, I mean, having to get that all geared up for Comic Suite, like that just recently got completed.
No, I just meant, are there still issues with DC?
With what?
I thought everything was fine. I'm being facetious.
Oh, okay. But yeah, so that's something where, we have a problem, and if it's not a, Comic Suite wide problem, then we have to wait, and they will get to it when they get to it. And it sucks that it took them this long, and it sucks that it's something as integral as we cannot onboard people to this system, but it'll get fixed.
And at the same time, it is not interfering with our ability to sell comics in the store.
No, for sure. I mean, like, Pullbox is great, and it helps us sell more books, but not having it operating doesn't keep us from selling books.
Right, but I've had an interview with David Harper this week that for PC's doing, where I'm just one of many stores, a check-in piece. Mm-hmm. But I was talking about how using Pullbox has been kind of amazing insofar as how people interact with it and how some deep dives people are pulling out.
Yeah.
People are ordering things that we would never, ever, ever, ever carry.
No.
And it's great that they're finding it. And some of this stuff is stuff that's been out for years.
Yeah. The thing that I like best about it, I think, is when it's working right, it's people's ability to grab variant covers that we wouldn't necessarily order in a way that doesn't require me to do a lot of legwork.
Yeah, and it doesn't make
like
us...
Suddenly it's just, a month later, you're pulling stuff and you're like, oh, I guess somebody wanted this weird Empire cover or whatever.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do any of the work on it. You don't have to keep double checking and making sure they're getting the right one. They just handle it on their end and then just pushes the data to us.
Yeah, I like it. And then getting the every 10 p.m. every night, you get the email of what people have added. And it's a good way to keep an eye on what books are getting popular without having to look them up in the system, because normally, there's a chance that somebody will tell you they want to add something or me they want to add something, so we're only getting half of it. But now we each see what everybody wants from Pullbox.
Yep.
And that gives us an indication, like, maybe this is a bigger book.
Yeah.
I think Cyberpunk 2020 was a book like that, where I thought, oh, we need more of this. And then it's like, oh, now we need less.
Well, it's like every hot book. People only want the first issue. A few more people wanted 2, 3, and 4, and that's great. We'll sell more of that, but yeah. It was hot for issue 1, and that was it.
Still getting a couple of people a day adding TMNT Last Ronin.
We are, it's true.
Yeah.
Real curious, and I'm not suggesting this because I want to see it happen, but I'm curious if we're going to get people doing last-minute ads on Batgirl 50.
I mean, why? Oh, because it's...
First appearance of Season 2 Batwoman.
But it's not in the story, it's in a preview.
It's in the book.
But it's a preview of the show, right?
No, it's in the story. Like, Barbara Gordon meets Season 2 Batwoman. It is the first DCU appearance of Ryan Wilder, the Season 2 Batwoman.
I had read a small post that Cecil Castellucci had posted, and I mistook it to be like, oh, and by the way, there's a preview of Season 2 of Batwoman.
No.
And she's in it. I didn't realize,
because,
too late!
Because, of course, like, if Season 2 Batwoman is Ryan Wilder, we will get a actual Ryan Wilder Batwoman appearance at some point in DC in 2021.
Yeah, remember we were convinced that was just a code name? Like, it's going to be Stephanie Brown.
Yeah, or it's going to be, like, Luke Fox's sister or something. Which, I don't know, it may yet be, because the stuff I was looking at, the pages that got shown, I don't think they call her by name. Like, it's clearly that's who that is.
Yeah.
But I didn't see anything where they specifically said, hi, I'm Ryan Wilder, and she shakes Barbara Gordon's hand or whatever.
It's funny. I almost I should read this book. Then I thought, do you know how many books I should read that I have piled up at home? I'm not adding one more.
No, not a final issue, too.
Yeah, definitely not. Especially it's a Joker War tie-in. Isn't it, I don't know if you deal with this, but in the FOCs, but we had to turn in our diamond orders this week,
Oh my god, that's a story.
and
Oh, Jesus Christ.
all of the X books still have
XOS.
XOS after them.
Ten of Swords.
None of them are Ten of Swords crossovers. One or two of them may be like from, spinning out of from the ashes of the story or blah blah blah. But we even a friend of ours had reached out to a friendly retailer had reached out to one of the writers saying, "Hey, it says Ten of Swords. Is this in any way related?" And that particular author said no.
Yeah, that happened before with the Marvel thing. I want to say it was maybe Hunted for Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, definitely.
A few issues afterwards where it's like,
Yeah.
no, I think this is a Boomerang story. I don't think this is Hunted. Hey, let me tell you a funny story about posting this month's order form to 2 different vendors.
Okay, but I'll be the judge of if it's funny.
Oh, I don't know if I said funny.
You said, "Let me tell you a funny story."
Okay. Let me tell you a horrifying story that was one of the most frustrating things I've dealt with this week.
Okay, but I'll judge if it's funny.
Okay. So, basically how uploading the order form has worked in the past is that we finish it in Comic Suite, and then we hit save, and then we hit a button that says upload, and it sends the catalog to Diamond to process and then eventually pull for us. That's it. That's the whole thing. With there being a second vendor now that is not looped into Comic Suite, which for us is Lunar, what basically happens is that the secondary vendor material, all the DC stuff, you save it and then you commit it. And when you commit it, it spits out a CSV file that you will then upload to the secondary vendor, which for us is Lunar.
Yes.
The Diamond CSV file that gets spit out is basically it's 3 points of data for each line, the barcode, the name of the book, and the quantity you've ordered. Patrick.
Yes, hi, I'm sorry to interrupt,
Yes.
but is it the barcode or is it the diamond code?
It's 95% of them are the barcode, some of them are the Diamond item code.
Oh, and those are the errors.
So here's the thing. 2 errors. When I went to upload it, Patrick?
I just want to say thank you for taking time to answer my question.
Sure. The first thing that happened was the error was the Lunar upload needs 2 points of data, not 3, so every single line is getting kicked back. Because
What?
it only wants product code and quantity.
Oh, not title.
Right. So every time it was looking in the second field, it
Okay.
was seeing like a word
A
and
name
that's not
instead
a
of
number.
a number, yeah.
So I had to figure that out. I'm like, okay, fine. So I take the CSV file and I go into Excel and I cut out the middle column and then okay, we got 2 points now. Let's export that as a text file, a CSV. Boom, ready to go. Upload it. It's not, the barcode doesn't mean anything to Lunar. It needs to be a Lunar code. So there's basically no way to get that without basically taking the Lunar CSV file and then inputting it by hand, like going line by line and going, okay, this quantity, this quantity, this quantity, or taking the quantities that are on the Diamond file and then going to the Lunar order page and inputting every single one by hand and then saving it at the end.
I mean, that's what I offered to do, but
You
we
shouldn't
shouldn't have
have
to.
to.
Yeah.
It's time consuming because it doesn't match everything. Like the titles are not necessarily in the same order.
Yeah,
even
one
if
of
you
the-
sort them alphabetically, because maybe an and goes in here, but it's not on the Diamond screen. And then that's not counting like all the lines that you don't order that you have to remember to skip past and make sure that the right A and B and C and D covers all go in the right number order. It was a nightmare. It sucked so bad. It's so much more difficult. Like the idea of exporting the CSV file is like, this is basically garbage. This is worthless to me.
Wow.
I don't know if that's something they're going to fix. I don't know how they would even begin to fix that versus going to Lunar and saying, please make it possible for a line to be able to be either the Lunar code, the Diamond code, or a barcode.
Well, I'm going to jump in and tell you one of the things that I found particularly annoying about, for the first time, ordering the DC books that would get uploaded to Lunar using Comic Suite. That's the first time I was using Comic Suite.
To do your monthly order
Yeah.
for DC for Lunar.
So, for whatever reason, every single title stops sales tracking 3 issues before where we're at. However, on the right-hand bar, there's menu options,
Yeah.
and one of them is cycle, and if you click cycle, it pulls up the others, but in the box format, not the list format that I like.
I like the box format. Sorry.
Fine. But I mean, so it's there. It's just an extra step.
Yeah.
But it's like, why isn't it populated here?
Yeah, there's
But
2
it's
different
here.
cycle views, and it seems like one of them is not populating the correct amount of data. You're right, that's weird.
Yeah. So at first, I was bouncing back and forth thinking, this really isn't saving me any extra time. Then I'm like, what if I just click cycle? Oh, look at that. So it was a combination of both, because you can still see the things underneath. And here's the others.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully now that there's just one
Distributor.
DC vendor, it might be easier for Diamond to work with Lunar and say, how do we make this data work best for our customers? Because it's the customers of both companies. Patrick, question.
Did you have a second prong to your uploading the December order form, or was the Diamond aspect fine?
Diamond aspect was fine.
Okay.
It's one button.
Same as always.
Yeah, click one button, it goes.
Yeah,
All of the DC stuff was a huge hassle.
It was the latest we ever turned. I think it's the latest you ever turned it in, because it was due a week earlier for whatever reason.
Yeah.
And I'll do the order and then leave it, and then Dal sends it in when he's ready. And I hadn't gotten a confirmation email, so I bugged him last night. I'm like, hey, I never got the confirmation. You're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. I meant to do it yesterday. I forgot. I'll do it today. And I'm like, it's due today. And you said, well, it's technically due at 5 a.m. tomorrow. So,
which, for the record, was only for Diamond. For Lunar, it was that night.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, it got in before the deadline. Everything went in.
Yeah,
one of the reasons I was delaying it was because there was a problem with our DC catalog in Comic Suite where it was not populating all of the pre-orders. So I wanted to get that done before I did it.
Yay!
Which, something you'll need to know for FOC is that it just added on those numbers. So you'll need to lower those at some point because they went up by the number of pre-orders.
Oh, man.
Which isn't a big deal.
Oh.
I mean, it like, some of those first issue numbers, it's like it'll be okay.
Yeah, but I don't actually do FOCs, I just pretend.
Oh, that's fine then. Don't worry about it.
Oh, okay, good. I actually meant to do it FOCs last night, but I'm like, no, Dal's going to be going out at some point with the order, so you know what? I'm by myself on Friday. I will have time during the day, and I think it'll be cold and rainy and slow enough that I can do it there. It's really hard to do. I admire the stores that can do the initial ordering at their stores, because I can't, because you have to get into a mindset, in a groove. You have to constantly be thinking about numbers and sales, and every phone call, every customer interaction, every distraction knocks you out of that groove.
I always did my initial orders at Urban North.
Yeah, well.
That's how you do it.
Yeah.
Nobody comes in.
Yeah. It's a whole...
Super easy, and the numbers are all very low.
Maybe that's why other people can do it there.
Maybe.
But, again, as I was talking to David Harper about how the processes are now in the pandemic world, we do so much more work outside of the store. Like, yeah, we're closed. The store is open 8 hours less per week than before the pandemic. But we make up for that with all the work we're doing all the hours of the night. Like, all the initial ordering is done at night. All the FOCs are done at night. So many club interactions or subscription management outside of Pullbox is all done at night or at off hours.
Right.
And more than ever, it seems more than ever, people are looking to make their changes in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
It's one thing to get an email during the day, or someone's like, oh, can you add this to my list when they're in the store or whatever. But the amount of work that piles up, and then it's just, you could let it wait, but you don't.
Right.
I mean, that's a general you don't. I let it wait if I know you're going to take care of it.
Yeah.
But even so, like, when you were unavailable Monday night, I'm like, all right, I'll log in and do the stuff Dad normally does.
Yeah.
Just because, that's what you do.
Yeah, it's true.
And it feels like, even though most of this isn't pandemic related at all, it just feels like since then there's been so much extra work.
Yeah, I think it's the confluence of things. Like, I mean, the pandemic is certainly a thing. Like, we're seeing a lot more activity just in general in the store. I don't know what part of the pandemic is causing it necessarily, but we're still seeing it. We've started using Pullbox over the last few months, which is increasing the ways that people interact with the monthly catalog. I think every time we offer people more options and more information, it ends up creating more work for us. It creates more sales, which is great.
Right.
But it is more work. Like, the easiest way we could ever do things is, like, you tell us the titles you want to pull, that's it, that's what you get. But offering more options and more, like, what specific issues do you want to add or drop stuff, what variant covers, what specialty items, and all that sort of stuff, like, that creates more points of activity for us to have to deal with. So that's a thing. And then Shopify is its own level of things, and then there's new vendors. So it's, like, a lot of additional kind of channels have opened up for us over the last few months that end up creating their own amounts of work. You know, I mean, just talking earlier about Penguin Random House is a thing, and Ingram we're doing more of, and you know, Soho is more. There's more
labor
intensive hobby
than
we used to do because we're getting like weekly orders instead of bi-weekly, and we're getting, you know, more pre-orders and all that sort of stuff. So it's things are not, you know, just one time of the week where something might happen where we need to deal with a bunch of things. It's kind of little things every minute of the day.
Fridays to me are always this weird convergence of so many things need to get done that just keep happening on Fridays.
Yeah.
And it's stressful, but not like pull my hair out stressful. It's just like, I got to do this. And then some processes take longer. So it's like, I'll start this, then I'll jump and work on this thing. Then I forget to go back to this thing. Or just there's so many little things. And it's like 2:30, you think, all right, I'm finally getting a handle on some of this stuff. It's fine. Speaking of Ingram or Penguin Random House, somebody put in a special order today for My Hero Academia Volume 1, which Diamond is out of.
Yeah.
It's a yellow code.
Yeah, which means we probably have some on pre-order.
But I would like to see if we can get
order,
it.
Sure.
Yeah, if they even have it. This is someone who's trying to read it along with his niece.
Oh, okay.
But she's already bought further volumes, but never got Volume 1.
Oh, okay.
And he's afraid if he doesn't get one soon, she'll just jump in, and he doesn't want her to jump in the middle of.
Sure, yeah, we'll definitely do an Ingram order this week. Then we'll get a few of those and some other stuff and whatever. We'll see.
We did restock Come Home India. We've already sold 1 or 2 since then. So if people were looking for it, we were out for like 2 days, 3 days.
Yeah, if that.
But there was a point where somebody called and like, we're out of it. We have another order coming in.
Right.
What was the joke you had said? The independent bookstore joke. So, maybe it wasn't you. I think it was.
No, it was an article in the Onion.
Yeah. Yes, we can order that for you.
Yeah, we're out of stock on it, but we can order it for you.
Yeah, I think about that. I mean, wrongly. I don't have it correct in my head, but all the time now since you said it.
Yep. There was a picture post that the Onion had today where it was like, Homes Decor is a compromise between boho chic and Marvel Cinematic Universe. That's like this nice catalog image of like this nice couch and stuff, but then it's like a Thanos gauntlet and like a framed picture of like the Marvel characters. I'm sure there's a lot of couples where that is very, very true to life.
When I was growing up, you never had these things, obviously.
Sure.
And even now, I came across a company on Instagram who's doing higher end. Oh, first of all, Marvel and Coach are working together.
Okay.
Coach handbags has a whole line of Marvel products.
Cool.
Do you want a $120 Spider-Man tote?
I do not, but someone does.
You know, like the totes we used to sell for like $6?
Sure.
But it's a Coach version.
It's a Coach one. That's why it's $120.
$120 Spider-Man on it.
If they sold it for $6, it wouldn't be Coach anymore.
True. And then there's a higher end line of men's cleansing products that not only are they Marvel superhero related, you have like your body wash, your deodorant, your face scrub, your all over wash, which is different than body wash, I guess. But it's broken. Like those 4 or 5 products. Do you want the Cap products? Do you want the Spider-Man ones? Do you want the Iron Man ones? Do you want the Thor? Like, it's the same product, but you can get it with your hero on the package. And I thought, if I didn't have my own healthcare routines, this would work on me.
If you weren't an adult who bought things for how well they worked instead of what character was on the front, you would be all over that.
Do you remember a couple years ago, 5 or 6 years ago, when they finally came out with one design of Marvel superhero bed sheets for beds bigger than a twin or a full? Finally? And it's just one design, but yeah, I have them, thanks to you.
Sure.
I have them, but it's like I want more options.
Yeah.
I'm constantly reusing the same sheets because I am that idiot who wants... And I don't just use those.
Sure.
I sometimes use my Venture Brothers sheets.
Yeah, you have fun. You have a few different fun bed sheets.
Right.
Yeah, I think that's the thing that I'm sure Marvel and Disney in general has been interested in moving into is more of the higher end adult Marvel collector, you know? People who want something that's a little bit more subtle, a little bit less garish, something less childish looking, something that feels like, oh, this is like an adult who thinks Captain America is cool, which, I mean, fundamentally is like, just own it.
Yeah.
Just don't pretend that like, oh, I enjoy the Marvel characters on a much deeper and more adult level than a child would. You don't. You enjoy them on the same level. It's fine.
When I carry a shoulder bag to physical therapy or whatnot, I don't always carry a bag, but if I do, it's a Captain America bag. Yesterday, I carried my Captain America umbrella. It wasn't a thing that I bought. It was something that a friend handmade for me.
Nice.
Painted the shield onto an umbrella. A pop brolly, if you will. But I'm happy to have it. Happy to use it. I'll represent.
Sure.
I mean, I will always have Captain America with me wherever I go now.
His head anyway.
So we're winding down, and we were done actually minutes ago. But I ever since I got the Captain America Jack Kirby hand tattoo, I always thought I was going to do a Jack Kirby Doctor Doom on this hand, also with the Kirby Crackle. What if I didn't? What if I did somebody else?
Like who?
Like a John Romita Spider-Man, and then just had like motion lines coming out.
What if could you go a different way with it?
Like
The Spider Sense split face?
I don't know that I would, but I could.
Okay.
But
I think
like,
that would
growing up, the two most Spider Sense lines instead of motion lines. That's good.
Plus, I mean, I think you need to see the expression on his face a little bit more. Otherwise, it's just a Spider-Man head.
And also, there's less work to do because you use the skin tone of your skin as the skin tone of the character.
Yeah.
So then that's possible. But I mean, I don't need it to be Kirby on both hands. I've got multiple Kirby tattoos.
Sure.
And Doctor Doom is a great character, but he's not.
He's not your guy.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Chris Cantwell book a lot. He was great in the most recent Fantastic Four, number 25.
Yeah.
But growing up, Spider-Man was always my number 2.
Sure.
And it's not like I'm going to get a Grimjack tattoo, another Grimjack tattoo, you know?
Yeah, not at this point. I mean, that'd be weird if it was Cap and Grimjack.
Yeah.
It would just be weird.
Yeah. I mean, a Spider-Man, maybe you're Peter Parker. Which side?
Which side is the half Spider-Man on?
Yeah.
I don't remember. I thought they usually went right side for Spider-Man, left side for Peter Parker, but maybe I'm just
I
remembering
think it's
it wrong.
the opposite. But I mean, it could be either way.
It could be, but I'm just curious.
Which way would you have it in my hand?
I would have Spidey on the left, Peter on the right.
My left or your left?
I think facing the viewer.
Spider-Man.
I think it would be Spider-Man on the left. Like if the viewer's looking
On
at
the
it, they would
outside.
see Spider-Man on the left, the outside,
Okay.
and then Peter on the right or the inside.
Then I can make them kiss.
But honestly, I mean, I don't know that I have strong feelings about it. Like that's just the first thing to come to my head.
Sure. Yeah, but even though I have the Doctor Doom image I would get, I'm like, I think I'm gonna wait. Plus,
Sure.
Cap was done on my 30th anniversary. I don't need to rush through and do another one.
That's true. Although, I mean, sometimes you get that one tattoo and now you want the next one.
Yeah, I know, but I also feel like that will signal the end of my tattoos. Like, there's plenty of
doubtful, but okay.
There's plenty of little things. Like, it was 2 years in between the last
That's true.
ones. Also, this doesn't hurt. Everything else does. There's plenty of little things I would get that I could fill in spaces.
Sure.
Like, there's a Shadow Roads dagger that would be like, oh, I can put that here.
Okay.
Kind of thing. But I don't think I will. And I think that might be like, yeah, that's a good bookend. Anyway, that's neither here nor there. Now I need to figure out exactly where I'm gonna put the sidekicks discussion in this episode. But you'll already know at this point, because you won't, because it may not have happened.
Yeah, it either already happened or hasn't happened yet.
Yeah, wow, interesting.
Quantum podcast.
You never know, like, until you listen to it.
Yeah.
This is Schrodinger's podcast.
Yeah, I don't know where this one lives. I don't know if this is the end or the middle.
Thanks for listening.
Keep reading comics.
We're starting this a little bit differently this time. We are not in our, I'll say it, $1 billion recording studio. There's been some upgrades.
True.
I want to call it a multi-billion dollar, but it's not that.
It's like 1.8. I mean, it's not quite there yet, but a few more improvements. We'll get there.
We don't have a computer in there. I mean, there's one in the control room, but in the very cush seated luxury area that we sit and record in.
Oh yeah, I mean it's terrible for the acoustics to have a computer in there.
Yeah.
I mean that's what our sound team said anyway.
So we need to be at a computer.
Yeah.
Because this is a thing that we were talking about, I don't know, last week before, something like that. I don't remember.
Uh-huh.
But I came up with a possible new layout for sidekicks. I built a little interactive map, where we can adjust things, and
Okay.
I thought I would let you see it, talk you through it, and let you play with it as well.
Okay.
Provided, this... Oh, there we go. Whoops. That went too far. Got a little greedy with my clicking. And There we go. So this is to scale.
Mm-hmm.
Now, obviously, this is a layout, a visual layout, so people can't see it. So I'll talk you through it. It is taking the red shelves. You know what? I need to reduce this just a little bit. Getting them off the main center of the floor, putting them up against the walls, and then putting new things in the middle, open, lighter, airier shelves. I guess I'll edit out the silence.
Okay. No,
I know you're taking it all in.
I am.
This is the thing I would have showed you in person today, but you never came by.
Sorry.
Obviously, like the black spaces are doorways or...
Why is there so much empty
Cutouts.
space here?
That is an excellent question. That is because I initially had the shelves going this way, and I just forgot to extend this.
Oh, okay.
That's all.
Okay.
That's the only reason. Yeah, first I tried to do all of the red shelves in one spot, and I thought, like, oh my god, this would be so great. We could take this fifth one and put it in this corner here, but it blocks half the doorway. So, no go.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, well, I'll put it like half here and half here. Mm-hmm. But then when I realized they fit pretty nicely along the back wall,
Yeah.
-1.
Yeah.
And again, I thought that one could go there.
Sure.
So as you see in the notes section, those we would take down the 3 levels of the grid wall shelves we have to put those against the wall.
Right.
Also, that solves the, hey, these could tip over
That's true.
problem.
I mean, they really haven't, though. I mean,
Yeah,
since,
that's true.
since we moved
That's
things
true.
around, I noticed at one time when I was moving some stuff on a Tuesday, but
So this design calls for Kallax 3x3 shelves
Yeah.
only because that is a lower height, but the 4x4 or the 2x4s come up to about 5 feet, and I don't think that so that brings that top shelf up to about 4 feet. I don't think that's too high for kids.
the
but
3x3 is how tall? I'm sorry.
well, it's like basically 3 feet high, but a little bit taller than that.
Okay.
But I mean, if we used, like I said, that just because it would be, it's lower for kids and whatnot.
Sure.
The 3x3s are smaller, are not as high as our red shelves, but the 4x4s would be, like, see, our red shelves are 3 foot 8 inches tall.
Right.
The 3x3s are roughly 15 inches. Or I'm sorry, not 15 inches, that's ridiculous. Like 13 inches, like 3 feet.
Okay.
13 inches, maybe a little bit more per
Sure.
times 3 plus the top and bottom.
Right.
So they're fairly the same height as the red shelves.
Sure.
But we do still have a 2x4 that we're not using, and we have looking at the 4x4. I don't think the 4th level of shelf, not the top, but the 4th shelf, is too high for kids.
Okay.
But that's just a possibility.
Sure.
In this scenario, we would lose half of our single comic space, but as it is now, we're kind of struggling to fill up the.
Sure. So the grid shelves are 2 feet wide, or
Each square is a foot.
okay.
And remember, the shelves hang out a foot off the wall.
Sure, but it would be just one panel instead of 2. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
But I mean, that's just this design. We could extend it. We could put the Kallaxes further apart and make it 2. We could. Some of this stuff is where it was already. A lot of it's more adaptable and can move around.
Sure.
But I just had this vision in my head of the middle being open
Sure.
with the Kallax shelves.
Sure.
And I thought, oh, we could just use one row of shelves, but that's not enough to put grid on. And also, a lot of those kids' books that we already have, like on the Kallaxes, are the width or the depth of one shelf, like those DC Origin books.
Yeah, I mean, if we put them on those shelves, though.
Yeah, but I think we would want back-to-back units,
Okay.
not just a single. There's too much
Sure.
things would get pushed off,
Sure.
and Gwen and Batman don't need to go there. That's
no,
just
they,
where
they do. I mean,
Well, I mean, we could if we. My original plan was to put the 2 tables back to back in the middle, and then put Gwen and Batman or Deadpool or whoever standing in the window.
I don't think that works as well. I think them being a little further into the store works a little better.
Yeah, and also that would mean that their backs would be on display to the public.
Yeah, or to the kids inside the store, which is just as bad.
It's weird to me that as I laid this out, and I did it also, it is accurate, not like, you're going to run electronics and everything is perfect, but this is the right...
how big everything is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In my head, it looks so different.
Uh-huh.
On paper or on screen, it looks real similar.
Yeah, I mean, for the most part, the thing is I'm trying to weigh the pros and cons because I think there are some advantages to your design philosophy of having it be a little bit more open. I like there being kind of more floor space, but at the same time, not substantially.
Yeah, like we're only gaining a square foot.
Yeah, on each side
yeah.
of the middle section. The things that I have problems with are how much of the front-facing space we lose because that's the majority of the books we sell. Is stuff that's like on the walls.
You mean
And essentially
those
like
24 shelves
Yeah.
in the back wall.
But 24 shelves is a lot of space
Sure, but
relative to what we would normally stock on the shelves.
agreed, but we could also do front spacing on the calyxes. We could have all
Sure. Yeah.
just call-outs.
Well,
and
I wouldn't do that necessarily, but I think you could probably, like, I think what makes the calyxes work for me is the idea of, like, we're looking at some sections now, or at least I am, where, like, a lot of the Marvel graphic novels that are coming out have reached a point where it's like, well, we can't full face everything, and I don't just want to full face a few books, and then the rest go on bookshelves somewhere else in the store. I want everything to be together. So having something where it's like the 4x4s, where it's like, you know, here's the Miles Morales Volume 1 that's face out, and then next to it is Volumes 2, 3, and 4 that are all spine out. Like, doing things like that on the calyxes, I think, would be really interesting and do really well.
this is A, not carved in stone, B, a thing where I expect you to say yes or no right now.
Right.
This is just, that's why I was asking if you had this program so you could play with it
Sure.
on your own
Sure.
and move it around and adjust things. That's why we have extras to the side.
Right.
So you can cut and paste and copy your own and
Sure.
and move it around. And that's why we have the only thing I didn't put as a fixture is the little golden books cardboard display.
Sure. Because that'll just go away at some point.
I mean, yeah. And obviously the little golden rack is
Right.
a circle, but I made it a square because that's how much space it takes up.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think it's a bad design. There's nothing, like, it's not like an immediate no. It's mostly just a thing of so you've got the 6 bookshelves.
Obviously the grid shelves would be on top of.
Yeah. No, I got
Just-
it.
yeah.
I figured that out. Thank you.
Uh-huh.
They're not going to be in the back room? No? Okay.
So I want to incorporate the bookshelves because I don't just want to get rid of them. I don't want
Oh, God, no.
store them.
You can't.
Yeah.
You'd be losing so much space, like
Yeah.
an insane amount of space. I'm just curious, how would you, like, what would the 6th bookshelf be that's separate from the rest? Like, what would you put on them?
Well, we've never done a discount or a budget rack in the kids' room.
Okay.
Or it could just be, how do I say this nicely?
But what do you think about not doing the grid shelves as end caps and just doing that comics product above the red bookshelves on that wall?
Fine. That is a lot of extra space, I think. I don't know. Well,
That's the thing. I don't think it is.
here's the thing. You said above those shelves?
Yeah.
Yeah, because the top shelf above that is still T-shirts.
Sure. I mean, but it doesn't
So it's
have
just-
to be.
it's just one shelf.
The T-shirts can move someplace else or whatever. Like, there's things in Sidekicks that if we're doing this, I would like to address that have kind of bothered me for a long time, and that's the amount of non-kids material that's in that room.
Yeah.
Like, how many questions do we get of people looking at the T-shirts and going, "Are those kid sizes?" And we have to go, "No, they're adults."
Rarely ever.
I feel like it happens a lot. And there's a lot of the prints and stuff that are in there that are just, like, I love those Sarah Beacon monster prints, but those don't belong in there.
Sold one today?
Right, but they don't belong in there.
Yeah, all right. But then where would T-shirts and those go? There's no room for those in the main store.
I'd have to look around, but I feel like something could be found. Honestly,
You're completely right. Completely agree with you about both of those points.
the T-shirts might be a thing where I would just as soon put them all in...
Storage. A box.
No, well, I was going
A
to say...
bonfire. Wait, I have one
Wait.
more. I have one more. Trash room. I figure if I told you one more was coming, you wouldn't get as annoyed.
I appreciate that. I'd put them in, like, one of the cube boxes like we've got in Sidekicks now in the Calyxes, but just in something else or underneath something else, where it's
Okay.
like here, or on top of the blue bookshelves, where it's like, here's just a bin of T-shirts. We mark
Sure.
them down, here you go. They don't need as much space as they
Yeah,
get
it's funny
because
you say
we're
that,
never restocking
Because
them.
I kind of don't like the white bins we have all the bonus stuff or the discount stuff. Bonus. The discount stuff on top of the...
Sure.
Maybe in theory we could...
Just get something more uniform for that section.
yeah.
Maybe a little smaller, maybe something that sticks up where they stick above the level a little bit more so people are easier to look through them. But that's a different problem to solve. But I think getting that stuff out of that room and really devoting it entirely to the kid stuff and posters, I think is fine in there.
Yeah, agreed.
But things like the prints and the T-shirts or something where it's like, I would like to get rid of those. Take that for however you think I mean it. But the space above that could then be something else. Could be decorative. Could be comics. Could be, I don't know, whatever. We'd figure it out.
And that would free up 2 top sections.
Yeah.
Because obviously the Chris G. Russo prints belong in there.
Yeah.
So.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. 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 No, I think this is an interesting design. What I'd maybe want to do is if we can try and figure out, like, the shelves we have. When you say 24 shelves that we're losing for putting in the Red Book shelves against that wall, do you mean 24 1-foot shelves?
I mean 24 2-foot shelves.
Okay, 24 2-foot shelves.
That's all those shelves are 2-foot shelves.
Are 2 feet. So that's 48 feet of linear space.
Yeah.
A calyx is 13 inches wide, right? A cube is 13 inches wide.
If we do 3x3s,
but I mean,
that's 9 per shelf, and they're each a foot.
Right. I mean, I think that gains us more space than we're losing, right?
Yeah, but it doesn't gain us a lot. Like, it's not all extra; it's only some extra. Basically,
but a lot of the stuff that I'm just thinking in my brain because you've got things that are full faced now would maybe not be full faced entirely then, which I think gains us a lot more space.
Yes.
Again, just taking stuff where it's like, oh, we've got 3 feet worth of superhero girls adventure books. Okay, that could literally be 1 cube. Like, that doesn't need to be all faced out. You need one faced out to go, here's where the DC superhero girls books are, and then that's the section.
Do you think we would have to find new bookends, or do you think we could still use what we have? Because we have a lot of them black magnet ones.
Definitely use the same bookends.
Yeah, they just don't match.
Well, I mean, you wouldn't see them for the most part.
True.
And I'm fine with a what is it? Oh, are they blue? Is that why?
No, they're black.
Oh, they're black. That's fine then.
It's just that they're magnets and they don't
need
magnet to wood.
They don't need to be because there's weight on them, and that's what's going to keep everything from falling over. I mean, we use black bookends now.
Yeah.
On those same white shelves.
And they look so out of
so terrible. It's why nothing ever sells in that room. Yeah, I think it's interesting.
Again, it was just a start, and it was meant to be both of us like, oh, we could put this there, put that. I think I envision it as like a magnet board or felt Velcro we could stick on.
So here's an idea.
Yeah.
And I don't think this would work because of how the layout works. What if we did the red bookshelves along the left side and then maneuvered things around in the center, rotated it maybe 90 degrees? Oh, sure. Yeah, but I mean that one. Just weird costume stuff.
Right, but it's there. Say again?
So, like...
We take the 5 bookshelves.
Yeah, instead of...
Which, by the way, fit perfectly there.
Yes. So, I mean, this is just I don't know if this would even fit. My thought is basically doing something where when you walk into Sidekicks against the far wall, you see the bookshelves.
Okay, that would only work if we abandoned both of these.
Uh-huh.
I will show you. If we select them all and then rotate... Oh.
That would work out less well.
Let's do that. Let's just copy that, paste that. I don't like this newer iteration, so I'll just group it and then turn it like this, just so you can see the space we're dealing with.
Sure.
Yeah, we would have to get rid of the grid that we have on each end.
Both ends of the grids.
Yeah, which is fine.
Yeah, it wouldn't really bother me a whole lot.
I mean, to be honest, we would leave the grid up. We just wouldn't put shelves on them.
Sure.
Or maybe we can put it higher,
I mean, with the hooks coming off the wall, would it even fit them? I mean, I don't know how to scale this is.
I think this is...
there's enough give on the other side?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that way you've got this L shape of face-out stuff, which I think has more continuity to it.
Oh, I see. I see what you mean. You mean the 6th bookshelf.
Well, but
is close enough to it.
I also meant like having the full face-out grid stuff, where there's not things in front of it, is now one kind of contiguous shape. I
gotcha. Yeah. It already is that now. I just don't think that there's that much of a flow.
Sure, but I think visually, if you have the bookshelves, I think the bookshelves breaking it up works less well to my eye than having the bookshelves be all on one wall and then having the other two, like having there not be a gap between the full face grid shelves.
I also want to point out, I didn't put K2SO, Darth Vader, or the Turtles.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Well, we'll have to delete this whole file then and start from scratch. And plus, I like the idea of people walking in, looking in Sidekicks, and immediately seeing the bookshelves. Do you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like, I think that makes the room feel like it's got more stuff in it than if you don't see them as easily. I don't know.
What about the floating 4x4 calyx that's always been there?
What about it?
You okay with it there still?
I guess. I don't know. Maybe. Like,
I mean, keep in mind that anything that is in against this wall
Uh-huh.
has to be up a little bit because of leaking.
sure.
And that's why this calyx is in this corner, because it's the farthest away from where water comes in.
Right. Yeah, I don't like almost everything along that window. I don't really have a problem with it, so
Okay.
to speak. Like, if you had a better idea, I'd certainly hear it out. But there's nothing that I have an idea for it.
My better idea was tables in the middle and superheroes in
Mm-hmm.
the window.
I just don't think that would work so great. Like you said, I mean, it's either people from the outside see backs of heads, or the kids inside the store see backs of heads. That's,
Yeah, but it's just a matter of, first of all, we keep those blinds fairly closed most of the time.
yeah.
But we're just doing that until hopefully they replace that graffiti film.
Yeah, as soon as you can actually see out of the
And
windows.
I think it's easier to take pictures with the heroes in the front window, and even if we did that, it'd be like, oh, maybe we can move Deadpool in there as well. But
I mean, I think this is the easiest way to have people take photos, is if they're, wide open in the middle of the store.
Yeah.
Like, that way kids can get right up to them, and hopefully not in a way that they fall over.
would you then want to add either 2x4 or 2x4s at the ends?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, because as it is, like, I like the idea of there being even more space between the grid shelves and the calyxes.
Sure.
Like, 3 feet on paper seems like a lot, and then you get in there and you're like, 3 feet is not that much. So 4 feet, I think, would be a little better. I think that would make it feel a little bit more
Open.
open, yeah. But even then, like, that's my fear with the left side, then, is that with the grid shelves and then the bookshelves being a foot in front of them. But I mean, that's how much.
What do you mean? If
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Because there's no shelves. Yes. Never mind. I
mean,
thought that would push it out too far.
They'll be off the wall by about
2
2 inches.
as much as a hook is.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
that's fine. Yeah, okay, never mind. I thought we would be losing space on that left side, but no, we're not.
See, I told you, like, imagine visually that's on top, and you're like, I know. And then you didn't do it.
No, I did, and then I didn't.
To be fair, I've not been reflecting your suggestions in real time,
no, that's fine.
so I will do that now.
Yeah.
Put these here. Don't move like that. You know, I was holding shift down. You shouldn't move when I do that. But you still did it. What if I bring this to the front? There. Does that make it easier for you?
No, I mean, I can visualize it now. It's not really a problem. No, I like this. This is good.
Yeah, I just the floating calyx is just so weird to me because it's kind
Yeah.
of anything goes there.
It's true. I mean, we use them in other places, so it's not that, random.
Yeah.
And
And it's true, we do have a lot of calyxes along that western wall if you carry this into Challengers plural.
And I mean, I'll admit that,
Plural?
like the idea initially of it, like, there's calyxes in the middle, was like, I don't know. But if we treat them like we treat the grid shelves, where it's more about spotlight displays, less about, like I've seen other stores use calyxes where it's just like, they're alphabetical. Here's all of our books.
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't like doing that because I think there's so many breaks in the calyxes that it doesn't work great. I like the idea of treating each cube as its own individual, segment. Like, here are these books, and next to it is, so things are more like genre arranged, or the ways that we do the grid shelves now on the walls, where it's, here are things for really young readers, and here are middle grade books, and here are superhero books, and like doing that kind of stuff, I think would make me a little bit more into the idea. One thing I would want to do, though, because kids are kids and how they use books, I'd maybe want to think about creating and then screwing into the back maybe 5-inch high or 6-inch high backings to
Okay.
each of them, so that kids can't push the books too far back.
I would still also
Nothing that would like break up like sight lines or light
sure,
flow.
no, I know what you mean. But I would also do the brackets to these like we did for the back issues.
Sure. I don't think it's as necessary. These books aren't that heavy.
It's true, but what we could do, we could just
I mean,
we could buy 1x2s.
You put graphic novels on calyx shelves; they don't really have a problem.
Yeah, that's true. We can get Home Depot. We can get pre-whited, like 1x2s, and just cut them and screw them into the back. So that should be fine.
Sure. I mean, like nothing too deep, you know? Like, I don't think it needs to be a super, I don't know what you mean by 1x2. Like, how thick is this?
1.
Yeah, I guess that's fine. I mean, I don't even think it needs to be that. Like, plywood would be fine.
Right, but I mean, my point is, these are already finished white.
Sized and fitted.
They don't do, I mean, we'd have to cut them down, but they're finished already. Yeah.
They're painted.
Plywood, we have to cut them all.
It's true.
Here, we just have to cut little
segments
breaks.
off.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, maybe, you know, I'm sure we could find molding, like floor trim.
Yeah, it doesn't need to be a lot, because it just needs to be enough where if a kid's pushing the book back, they don't... Like, I don't want the thing that you see in some shops where it's like, the thing that's bracing it is the book on the opposite side.
Right.
Because that's a great way for shit to just be everywhere.
So here's another thing I would love to do for this room, especially since we're going to be here for at least 5 more years. Laminate flooring.
Okay.
What do you think about black and red checker?
Huh. I guess I'm okay with it.
I wouldn't want to do white and red because it's just too easily messed up. And,
yeah, and it's too 1950s.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, like, it would look like tile, but it wouldn't be tile.
Right.
Obviously, just the main floor, not the back room or anything.
Sure.
We haven't priced it out. I haven't looked at anything else, but whenever I see a store that has that, I'm like, I like that. I like that look. And also,
yeah, sure.
I think that it would be better served for, because like those area rugs that we got from, what was the name of that store? That store's gone now, so we can't get those again. And they're getting a little bit gross.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, way less gross than the main floor. But...
Right, yeah.
Well, there you have it. There is 20 minutes of us talking about a thing you can't see.
Yeah, I hope we didn't do a terrible job of describing it.
And even though I said this is how we're starting, I think I'll put this at the end in case people get too bored.
Yeah, I think we'll have to give a little disclaimer, like, when we finish the next part of, like, hey, there's this thing and we're talking about it, but you can't see it, so keep that in mind.
Oh, just in case, this is the ending. Thanks for listening.
And keep reading comics.
And we may do another one of those later,
sure.
just to
give you something to play with.
In case we tie it up, sure.
This has been Contest of Challengers. Thanks for listening. Keep reading comics. Challengers is located at 1845 Northwestern Avenue in the Bucktown neighborhood of Chicago. 773-278-0155. Keep up to date with new releases and events at challengerscomics.com. Like Challengers Comics on Facebook, follow @Challengers on Twitter, and help fund this podcast at patreon.com/challengers.